MacG from the famous Podcast and Chill Network had mentioned a couple of months ago that Cassper Nyovest's rap career is washed, that he's a washed rapper, which is pretty interesting because obviously he's implying that Cassper Nyovest's rap career has somehow lost its edge. And I just absolutely love Cassper Nyovest's response to the whole situation. Cassper leaned into MacG's washed comment, literally, where he tweeted, "I am washed by the blood of the Holy Lamb, and I'm now a new creature." Obviously talking about Jesus Christ and what Jesus Christ has done for him personally, namely Cassper Nyovest, right? So pretty exciting stuff. And I want to ask you a question today. Have you ever looked at the lives of these celebrities that you either see on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram or Facebook or wherever you tend to scroll, and you looked at their lives and you started looking at your own life and finances and just felt depressed, just felt anxious, just felt stressed about your own life because it feels as if you are stuck in poverty? Hence, I want to talk to you all today about God's solution for the poverty trap. God's solution for the poverty trap. Let's be honest, one of the areas in life that causes so much pain in our lives is the area of finances. I remember a couple of years ago where it was my mom's birthday. It's like 2017, 2018 was my mom's birthday. And she'd invited, obviously, myself. I'm glad I made the list. And she invited, obviously, family as well to go to a particular restaurant. Now, for me personally, this was one of the most painful days in my life. Now, it might not seem that painful. However, I lived that experience. And I'm pretty sure you'll be able to relate, at least in some way, shape, or form. And I remember it was time for us to pay the bill. And I did not have money to afford my mom's food as well as mine. And my mom literally on her birthday not only had to pay for her own food, but she had to pay for my food as well. And it absolutely champion campione. Before we dive back into the video over here, I want to ask you a question. Are you currently overwhelmed in the area of your finances? Do you constantly feel stressed and anxious and worried about money? Does it feel like you've got way too much month left at the end of the money compared to having more money left over at the end of the month? Do you struggle to save properly in order for you to invest and grow your legacy moving forward? If so, I want to encourage you. I've written a new book called Money Done Right. I will drop a link into the description below. It is a 21-day transformational journey and tool to help you and others to go from being overwhelmed in our finances and life to overflow in our finances and life. It's going to take you from confusion to clarity, from pain to purpose, from struggle to success. So I want to encourage you, go and grab yourself a copy today. There's a bulk order discount as well. And you can also donate books moving forward that we can go and send out to the various organizations and schools and youth groups that we ultimately work with. So go and click the link in the description down there below and we'll meet you there. And then I'll see you right now again in the next part of the video. Gutted me on the inside. And I believe God allowed it to happen to start putting my life on a particular trajectory where I reached a point where I thought to myself, you know what? We can't have this happen ever again. Like, I need to make some changes. I need to, shift some things around, but we can't have that situation happen ever again. And God has taken me through this journey and on this whole adventure of discovering more and more as to, number one, what is the purpose of money? Number two, or what is God's original intent and purpose with money? Number two, what are things I need to lean into? And number three, what are things that I completely need to neglect when it comes to finances and life, as well as, how can I start getting better results moving forward, but not sell my soul in the same breath? So I want to share with you just quickly, using some farming principles as to what is God's solution for the poverty trap. And I want to share some things that will hopefully address your mindset and make you and I a little bit more aware with regards to our current situation. Because I'm telling you right now, listen to me very carefully. I'm telling you right now that right now in your life, you have got so much abundance and so much opportunity. The only problem is that you cannot see it. You cannot see it, because that opportunity, that abundance might right now be in the form of a seed. And the enemy knows if he can get you, as well as myself, to undervalue the seed that you have, that'll result in you never actually planting the seed in the first place. So number one, my hope is that through this video today, that God would open up your eyes and my eyes more and more to the value that we currently possess. Because when it comes to money, one of the wrong beliefs that people have with regards to money is that people believe that money for some reason gives them self-worth. So meaning that the more money they have, the more of an important person they are. And then the opposite then also is true, that the less money they have, the less of a significant person they are. And that's not the truth. Money does not give you and I our self-worth. Okay? Because why? You and I are supposed to draw our self-worth from what God ultimately has spoken and said over our lives. That we are the head and not the tail, above and not beneath, always at the top and never at the bottom. Because before the money even arrives, my friend, you are already somebody. So before you even put on the fancy jean or drive the fancy car or live in the fancy gated community, you are already somebody. You're not somebody once you reach there. No, you are already somebody. And the more you and I can begin to see the value that we currently possess in our lives, the quicker you and I can begin to develop that value more and more in order to serve that value to the world as we fulfill our purpose. And part of our purpose is ultimately to solve problems that you and I were born to solve. And that's what makes our lives ultimately purposeful. So I'm hoping that you are tracking. If you are, shout "I am following" in the comment section down there below. So number one, money doesn't give us self-worth. So therefore, use the seed that you have, plant that seed into the ground and allow God to send the rain upon that seed. Like you plant the seed, God grows the tree. It's absolutely significant and amazing how this all works, okay? Now, number two, you want to understand with regards to God's solution for the poverty trap. Number two, whatever you sow, you reap. Whatever you sow, you reap. So if you sow an apple seed, you cannot expect to reap a mango tree. So if you and I sow creativity into the ground, when you and I sow connection into the ground, when you and I sow contribution, wisdom, diligence, into the ground, hard work into the ground, in the sense, when I say hard work, I'm talking about not just working hard physically, but working hard also mentally in the way that we think. Okay? Because sometimes the only difference between you and where you want to go is just getting into a different vehicle, which will then cause you also, before you get into that vehicle, you need to start thinking differently before you get in there. It's like, again, for example, if you want to travel from here to Cape Town in South Africa, or from here to Dubai, you can, let me just use local lingo over here, from here to Cape Town or from here to Durban. You can either walk there or you can take a jet there. But how many of you watching this video have ever thought to yourself, how can I actually take a jet to Cape Town? In order for you to get that outcome, you need to start thinking differently. In order for you to walk from here to Cape Town, there's a specific mentality that goes with that. So if you don't want to walk there, then you need to start changing the mentality, start thinking differently, and start being like, well, I can't do this, I can't do that. Start thinking about, how can I actually do this by the grace of God moving forward? So remember, whatever you and I sow, we end up reaping. If you sow laziness into the ground, if you sow neglect into the ground, you cannot expect to reap a massive harvest. So like, for example, if a farmer has all of the seed and he neglects the part of planting that seed in the ground, he cannot expect for there to be a harvest. Like, the farmer actually has to take the seed and plant it into the ground. So whatever you sow, you reap. Number three, here's something amazing about sowing and reaping. You will always reap more than what you've sown. So for example, if you sow one apple seed, let's say it grows to become an apple tree, that apple tree has the potential for there to be hundreds of apples on that particular tree, because that's how it works. And life, my friend, is a garden, not a bakery or a restaurant. Life is a garden. So you want to make sure that you plant the right seeds into the ground, because you'll always reap more than what you've ultimately sown. And then number four rather, you want to make sure that you don't eat your seed, but that you plant your seed and eat the fruit. So again, in the case of the farmer, let's say the farmer's got all of this tremendous seed, and instead of planting the seed, he goes about eating the seed because he's lazy. He doesn't want to plant the seed, so he eats the seed because that's what he has right now. so he eats the seed and doesn't plant the seed, right, you'll never have the fruit trees. So the same with you and I. Imali yangena, imali yaphuma. The money comes in, the money goes out. Why? Because we don't have a plan for the money before the money comes and hits our account. So you want to make sure that you have a plan before the money hits the account, that this amount is going here, 10% is going here, other 10% is going here. The rest of that 80% or that 70%, however you're going to structure it, is going to the expenses and some fun and some entertainment over there. I believe personally that the first fruits belong to God. So whenever the money comes into our account, specifically from a business or ministry or organizational or personal perspective, all right, you find that the first 10%, 11%, 12%, whatever percentage you want to make it over there, the first fruits belongs to God. Not because God wants your money. And I will encourage you that you sow that seed to a place that spiritually ultimately feeds you. Okay, so make sure that you sow it into that particular direction over there. And then the next 10% or 5%, however you want to structure it, goes to you putting money into a particular savings account or savings pocket. All right, and by the way, this is not financial advice. I'm just telling you what I do. This is for educational purposes. Then the next 10% or 20%, however many percentages you want to use over there, goes to putting it into a savings account, but not for the purpose of purely saving for the purpose of investing moving forward, so that it can become a tree that has fruit, so you can eat that fruit over there on that tree and not just eat the seed that you are currently possessing inside of your hands. All right, so seek to plant the seeds and then eat the fruit, but don't eat the seed. So that's our time for today. Hopefully you got something out of this. Remember, whatever you sow, you reap. Remember that when you sow, you always reap more than what you sow. And make sure you don't eat your seed, but that you rather plant your seed. And you want to plant it into fertile ground. Give to God, which is God's, my friend. Okay? And again, God doesn't need your money. It's got to do with the heart check on the inside over there. And I'm telling you, champions, the blessing of the Lord makes rich, and God adds no sorrow to it. If you got something out of this video, I want to encourage you to like the video, drop a comment down below if there's any other topic regarding finances in life that you want us to dive into, and then we'll, Lord willingly, see you on the next one. Also, subscribe and share this video far and wide.